Hey guys, and welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I am your host, Ronin Time HD, and this week, what we found off the shelf was...
Al Pacino is Scarface. He loved the American dream with a vengeance. Al Pacino.
Scarface, released in 1983. It was an adaptation of the 1932 film of the same name, as well as an adaptation of the novel that came before the original film and this one. It was directed by the legendary Brian De Palma. It had a screenplay by Oliver Stone. It is starring, of course, Al Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer. This film, I mean, if you didn't already know, is probably one of the most iconic, crime films. I mean, if there's, any crime movie set in the 80s, it's probably taken some kind of inspiration from this film. It's lauded as one of the greatest movies of all time. It's this and that. It's a great movie, and I will not deny, it is a fun, enjoyable movie, and I liked it. But, personally, I don't think it is greatest film of all time tier. I love crime movies. If you've been watching my channel, I'm kind of on a crime movie binge lately. I just love me a good crime story. I love me a good crime movie. But I think, not saying that this film was average. It was very good. And it was a fun time. But I don't really understand why people would, say it's the greatest movie of all time. Again, that's opinion. That's subjective, of course. Everything's subjective. But, personally, I wouldn't say that. And mainly, I think the main reason is because, to me, it's just a fun crime movie, and it's not really anything beyond that. And maybe that's just me not being, I guess, as cultured, maybe. Maybe that's it. You could call me an uncultured swine in the comments. I'll take it on the chin, right? But I think, I enjoyed Al Pacino's performance as Tony Montana. I thought Al Pacino was probably the most entertaining and best part of the movie as this coked up crazy drug lord who is way in over his head and is really a loose cannon, and he's just not making the best decisions, right? And that's kind of what leads his drug empire to fall, right? And of course you have the iconic shootout at the end. And he's, of course, great in that. He's great in the whole movie. The movie actually, surprisingly to me, I didn't know that the film was as funny as it was. It was going to be because usually when I watch, a crime movie like this, I expect it to be kind of, tough as nails. Obviously, some of them do have a sense of humor, but it's usually more serious. This film, I think, had more comedic moments than I would have expected. Not as a bad thing, mind you. I love a good sense of humor. I love a movie with a good sense of humor. And I think this movie did have that. And in general, I liked the chemistry between Tony Montana and his best friend, his best buddy, who was his right-hand man for the whole movie, right? I think that I actually watched the original Scarface after watching this one, and there were a lot more similarities than I thought there would be. A lot of the main story beats are basically the same, obviously with the movie being, though, an hour longer. They added some stuff that wasn't in the original, but I'd say it's pretty faithful despite a lot of the liberties that they took, which is a good thing, right? I mean, it still had the base idea that was in the original Scarface. I don't know, I think that the set pieces were good. I think, obviously, the final, mansion shootout was so ridiculous, but also just really, I guess, epic at the same time. Just, him being such a badass where he could basically take an entire army on his own. Maybe if he wasn't so cocky and, drugged up on coke, maybe he could have taken them all, right? There's, literally a fucking, a video game, a PS2 game, where it's what if he survived the mansion shootout? And he didn't get so cocky, which is kind of cool. Not saying I would have preferred that ending, because obviously it doesn't make sense for him to survive. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it would have been cool. Could have made Scarface 2, The Revenge of Tony Montana. Now, that would have sold. Either way, I jest. Either way, I think generally a lot of the like action scenes, there's not many of them. Obviously this film is more of an epic, a drama, right? So there's not too many action scenes, but when they are there, they are very enjoyable. I think also they're also different, they're unique, right? Like there's some stuff that I mean obviously now I've seen like mansion shootouts and stuff in other media, but I think this maybe didn't popularize shootouts like this, but there's a lot of things that, as I said, take inspiration from this. A lot of crime movies set in this time period take a lot of inspiration from it, and hearsay and whatever. Either way, I'm just saying that I can't really... I'm trying to think of like why I don't really think this movie is the greatest ever or in that contention. And I think maybe because when I watched it, the whole time I'm just like, this is fun, right? Like I really enjoyed that. But I think like the whole movie, that like usually when I'm watching like a really, really good movie, there's always like a scene or there's always something that makes me go, holy shit, that was really good, right? And maybe I'm just being like a snob or whatever, but when I watched that, there wasn't really that scene for me, right? There were good scenes, there were good performances, it was well written. I'm not saying that it was bad, I'm just saying, like, it didn't wow me, you know, I guess. And maybe that's more my problem than the movie's problem. I just feel like it did kick into next gear. That's not the problem. It just didn't kick into masterpiece gear. It didn't kick into greatest of all time gear. Right? It kicked into next gear, but not next gear, if you catch my drift, for me. And, but as I said, I don't want that to discredit it, because it is a very fun and enjoyable movie. I just think, personally, I don't get the hype. I'm sorry for the hot take. This might be the like hottest take I've ever said in my videos. But, I think generally... I think one of the things I liked the most about the film was Tony is like weird code that he lived by, right? I really liked that aspect of his character and how he had like a very, very strict code that he would never break, right? And I thought that was probably one of the most interesting aspects of his character, because there's a lot of scenes where they represent that, right? Where they show that, where he has made it, like, he makes a rule that no women, no children. Like, he'll kill dudes all the time, right? But he is, like, innocent women and children, off limits, right? Won't do that. And there's, like, a whistleblower who's going to expose his boss and his cronies, right? And they send him with Hector Salamanca to go kill this guy, right? Because he's gonna expose them all and basically ruin their reputation, and all their connects are done, right? They're fucked. But he was gonna go through with that, but then the dude's family was in the car and they had a car bomb, and he's like, we're not gonna do that. So then he kills the hitman that his boss sent to kill the guy, because they were gonna blow up the car with his family in it. And I'd say that, I mean, obviously he's not honorable. He's a drug lord, kingpin, murderer, right? But at least he won't kill a man and his entire family. I guess that's the bare minimum, but I guess it's better than other drug lords, I suppose. Either way, then the end of the movie happens. And I think one of my favorite parts of the ending of the movie is, again, his code. His code, and also his seemingly, like, super uptight protection of his younger sister. Like, he is very protective of her, and he doesn't want her to be associated at all with his business. He wants to keep her away from it, because she's the baby, right? To him, she's, like, still, like, 10, right? She is not an adult woman to him. He needs to protect her in his mind. She needs to be protected at all costs. So, again, she doesn't want her to date any of these criminals, because she doesn't want her to end up like him, right? Which, I mean, is kind of noble, right, to want his sister to stay pure, but it's also kind of selfish, because, I mean, if she wants to date guys, let her date them, right? It's not really his problem necessarily, and of course, it's revealed in, like, the build-up to the final mansion shootout that his best friend, his right-hand man that I mentioned earlier, was in, like, a secret relationship with his sister, And basically, with no hesitation, after figuring out where she is, he guns him down, like, immediately, right? He's like, you broke the code, you have to die, right? I thought that was a very interesting aspect of his character, that even his best friend, who had been with him since basically, like, day one, right? He had been with him forever. Even then, he broke the code, and it was over. It's like they weren't even ever friends. I mean, he regretted it, sure, after the fact, but he still did it, right? He still shot him to death, so he still followed his code, even though he did regret doing it afterwards, or it seemed like he regretted it. Either way, I'm just saying that was an interesting part of the character. I think overall that's like the thing I wanted to talk about the most was I enjoyed that aspect, and I enjoyed him overall as a character. I think it was very well done, and I very much liked Al Pacino's performance, because I mean, it's Al Pacino. Either way, though, with all that being said, I think I'm just gonna wrap things up here. Well, like, you might ask, would I recommend this film? Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, it's a really fun crime movie, and just because I don't think it's the greatest movie ever doesn't mean I don't think it's worth watching. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I mean, it's pretty long, so you probably can't just, like, you know, on the whim just decide to watch it, but you could take some time out of your day and watch it. I think it's a very enjoyable watch, so I would recommend it. But with that being said, what would I rate this film, you may ask? You know, I think I would rate this film a 7.5 out of 10. And, yeah, I think I've something to say. I think I've something in peace. So, guys, I hope you like this video. Share it with friends. Subscribe. Turn those notifications on. Comment down below on how much you liked it. And I've been Ronin Time HD. Off to build a drug empire. But not actually, though. That's just for the video. So, I was doing some research on this movie, right? And, I saw that, at the time, this film was generally disliked by critics due to its extreme depiction of violence and depiction of stereotypes. Now, I won't deny the stereotypes part, because it's not exactly wrong, right? But the extreme violence part, I think, is kind of crazy to me, because, I mean, obviously, this movie is extremely violent. Like, not that it's not, but I just think it's kind of funny, because most movies, like most bloody movies these days, are more bloody than this one. I'd say there's a lot of more blood in movies these days, which, again, not an issue, but of course, now, after years and years, critics have come back and they're like, oh, this movie was actually good, like, more than good, some call it a masterpiece, one of the greatest of all time, which I will not dispute. They can think that if they want it. We're all fans of movies here. We don't need to squabble. But overall, I found that interesting, how a lot of great movies from the past weren't exactly appreciated in their time. So maybe when a movie you like is getting bad reviews and people don't like it, maybe they just don't get it and you're actually right and everybody's wrong and the movie's good. It doesn't matter what anybody says. You know, if you like a movie and people are shitting on that movie, maybe just wait. In a couple of years, maybe not a guarantee, but there will be people that are like, actually, you know what? Maybe we were too harsh on this movie. Just give it time. Just give it time. You gotta be patient. Patience is key with a lot of things.